His name is Edwin. He made the mimic. It was difficult to put the pieces together, but unfortunately, something went so wrong. And now, I am making a theory video if Secret of the Mimic is going to change the Fnaf lore forever. Thanks, Edwin. Will Secret of the Mimic change Fnaf lore forever? No. Thanks for watching. So, Secret of the Mimic trailer dropped a couple weeks ago, and it's created a lot of discussion, actually. Some negative, seen some hate on Secret of the Mimic, and the game's not even out yet, which is interesting. Of course, you guys can have opinions on Secret of the Mimic. Of course you can, but, you know, some people have been pretty mean about it. Like, guys, it's not even out yet. Chill. And like I said, of course, everybody can have opinions, but, you know, be respectful, guys. You know, it's just a game at the end of the day. Yeah, I thought I'd just make a video about the lore about Secret of the Mimic. I know we don't know much about it yet, but I know some people are very, like, hardcore, core Fnaf game lovers, and they think that Secret of the Mimic is going to ruin everything and change the story and everything. And I just wanted to give my theory on that. And like I said, I don't think this game is going to change much about the lore, the core Fnaf lore. I feel like this game is more to do with Security Breach and the build-up for Security Breach 2. That has not been announced yet, but I'm pretty positive that's going to be the next game after this one. Secret of the Mimic is a build-up for Security Breach 2, where, you know, Cassie, Gregory, Vanny, Edwin, maybe, are all going to team up and kill the Mimic, and that's going to be the end of that story for now. I don't know what they're going to do after when the Mimic dies. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But yeah, I do think that's what Secret of the Mimic is. Secret of the Mimic is about the Secret of the Mimic.
Wow, I need a minute to think about this.
I know that's weird to say, but it's just the cover-up of Fazbear Entertainment covering up the Mimic, and the secret is the origins of where this all started, and Edwin Murray building the Mimic, and what happened at the factory. So as we know from the original teaser trailer, we got the date 1979, which is the earliest game that we've ever had. The earliest one before this was like the mini games from Fnaf 4 of the Big Bite 1983 of Fredbear chomping down the crying child's face. The thing is, though, yes, this game is the earliest game that we've got. It is a prequel to everything, but at the same time, it's a prequel of the Mimic story mainly, if that makes sense. It's a prequel of like the Edwin and the origins of the Mimic, rather than the prequel of Five Nights at Freddy's with Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, etc. We are going to talk about that in a minute, by the way, but I think those are going to be subtle references. I don't think we're going to get a major lore drop about William Afton and Henry. I feel like it's just going to be subtle. So I do think we're going to get stuff with that, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's not going to be like crazily lore changing. Or is it? I don't know. I'm scared now. Like I said, I do think we're going to get some lore between Henry, William, and Fazbear Entertainment. You know, I think this is like the original beginning of Fazbear Entertainment. You know, it's a new company that's just been made, in my opinion. And, you know, Fazbear Entertainment has just started up. This is a beginning of a company after Fredbear's Family Diner's success, okay? That's why we see the Fredbear Family Diner posters all around this factory, because Freddy Fazbear's Pizza doesn't exist yet, all right? It doesn't exist yet, guys. It's coming soon. So this is the origins of the Mimic and the story, but it's also the origins of Fazbear Entertainment. This is still coming soon in 1979. It doesn't exist yet. And Fazbear Entertainment have reached out to Edwin, because as we know from Tales of the Pizzaplex, Edwin is very good at what he does with his technology. And clearly Fazbear Entertainment, whether William or Henry, contacted him for help. And now, Edwin's costume manor, Edwin is helping build the mascot costumes and stuff for Fazbear Entertainment, helping out with Fall Fest, but also from the books, helping with the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica and Foxy animatronics. Edwin helped with that in the Pizzaplex books, and I do think that's what we're going to see in this game lore as well. Now, remember what I just said. We don't know yet from the game lore, but in the books, Edwin helped make the Freddy Fazbear's Pizza animatronics and stuff. Don't go crazy. I do still think you know, William or Henry or whatever made the blueprints of them. Edwin just helped make them, if that makes sense. Like I said, Edwin Murray is contracted to make Fazbear Entertainment mascots and stuff and costumes, and that's where we are right now, and that's what happens at that factory. Now, of course, if you don't know the lore behind the Mimic, Edwin makes the Mimic, okay? If you guys have watched the trailer, you should have by now. Go and watch it if you haven't. From the trailer, Fazbear Entertainment tell us that Edwin Murray's gone missing, and Fazbear Entertainment property is still at the factory, and we need to go and retrieve that technology.
One of our contractors, Edwin Murray, has gone missing. Enter the warehouse and retrieve the technology that he was developing for us.
Now, of course, we know what went wrong is the Mimic. That's who we're going to be facing in the game. The Mimic, using different mascots and stuff. You know, we know the basics, right? I will tell you about the origins of the Mimic. This is spoiler territory. If you haven't read Tales of the Pizzaplex books about the Mimic, I'll do a very, very quick summary. Edwin made the Mimic for his son, David. The Mimic mimics. What a surprise. And if you've listened to the song, it actually helps with the lore a little bit. His son David gets run over. Okay? His son David gets run over and he dies. Which obviously leaves Edwin really angry and upset, of course. Filled with grief and pain that his son died. Edwin and his son David actually sleep and live at the factory. And that's where the Tiger Rock character comes into play as well. Edwin made Tiger Rock for David. And that's why we see a Tiger Rock mascot in the game. In the game trailer. Edwin's so full of rage, anger, and grief that he attacks the Mimic. I'll go in a little bit more lore with it, but David and the Mimic have become friends, literally, like over the coming weeks. David teaches the Mimic things, and you know they have a good relationship. And David even asks Edwin to make a Tiger Rock plushie for the Mimic, which was cool. They have a good relationship. They're friends. The Mimic and David are besties. And then, unfortunately, David goes outside to play and gets killed. So he gets run over. Edwin's son gets killed. David is dead. So, of course, Edwin, over the coming weeks, is filled with grief and anger and pain that his son's died. But the Mimic's still there. And this is what leads to the disaster of Edwin's decision on what to do. So while Edwin is working on Bonnie's endoskeleton, the Mimic... because the Mimic's been with David for so long now, mimicking David, the Mimic goes up to Edwin and asks for ice cream. And this obviously triggers Edwin's mind, remembering David, grief, anger. So he takes it all out on the Mimic. The Mimic gets absolutely pulverized by Edwin and beaten up by Edwin. And then Edwin runs away at that point. And that's where we're left off now in Secret of the Mimic. Edwin's run away, the Mimic's still there. And you've got to remember, guys, the Mimic mimics. The last thing the Mimic had happen to it is Edwin destroying it, okay, and complete with anger and rage. The Mimic is obviously going to mimic that happening. So the Mimic's now filled with rage and anger. You've got to remember, of course, as well, you know, David's died, so I'm sure that's going to come into play as well with the Mimic. Which is interesting. I did see a theory about that, actually, where the reason why the Mimic wants Gregory is because he reminds him of David. And that's all the Mimic wants, which is actually quite sad, like a friend, a companion, which is interesting. So maybe that will come into play in the future. Maybe the Mimic isn't trying to kill Gregory or that he just wants a friend. So we'll see. So there's a quick summary on the origins of the Mimic. Spoilers. Does that affect the Fnaf lore at all? No, it doesn't. It just adds to it. It doesn't affect anything, really. All this lore about Edwin and the Mimic is just an addition to the Mimic. It doesn't affect William or Henry at all, really. However, we can go on the opposite side of that, and maybe it does. You know, we thought the first tragedy that happens in the Fnaf lore is the crying child or the puppy getting run over. One of those two, in my opinion, either Charlie getting killed, Henry's daughter, or the big bite, the bite of 83. Those supposedly happen after 1979. So this could be the first time where a tragedy happens with Fazbear Entertainment and, you know, Henry and William have to deal with it. Like, the Mimic has killed people. The Mimic has attacked and killed people in this factory, apparently. This is possibly the first time deaths happen in the Fnaf lore. So, and again, does that affect the lore at all? Does that affect the lore? Maybe. I think that one's up to the person, whether you think that affects the lore if death and stuff, tragedy happened before Charlie's death or the crying child's death. Does this create tension with Fazbear Entertainment and William and Henry? Is this the reason why William does something bad in the future because of this incident with the Mimic and Edwin and the tension? Again, that's up to you, and maybe we'll see that in the game. Like I said, I do think that we are going to get something with William and Henry in this game. Whether it's going to be documents or audio tapes of them talking to each other, or phone calls or letters, you know what I mean, of them talking to each other, interacting with each other, because we haven't had that yet. The only thing we've had before is Henry's tapes in FNAF 6 and the picture of William and Henry together. You know, that's basically all we've had, which is crazy when you think about it. So I do think we're going to get something like that. You know, like I said, although this isn't Henry and William's factory, it's Edwin's. There's a bunch of Fredbear Family Diner posters everywhere. So I do think we'll get something. Hopefully we do anyway, because I'd like to see that. I'm going off tangent here, but, you know, let's come up with a quick idea where, you know, Henry and William made Fredbear's Family Diner together. It became super successful. William wanted to make it more businessy. Maybe Henry didn't. Maybe Henry didn't want to do it as much, but he still agreed. Who knows? Then they make Fazbear Entertainment together. And then all of this goes wrong. Like, you know, Fazbear Entertainment with the factory and everything. And there's a tragedy. And, you know, you can imagine that creating tension between the two, right? You can imagine tension build up between those two. William wanted to grow Fazbear Entertainment and their business together. And look what's happened. So maybe there'll be a friction there. And maybe this could be the reason why Henry decides to leave Fazbear Entertainment, and that creates a bigger tension. And you know what I mean? Something might happen there, and that might be the reason why William goes after Henry's daughter later on, or whatever. I don't know. This also could be the reason why William starts to think more about agony and the AI of the Mimic and death and stuff like that. That might, you know, that could be something too. And again, I feel like that is lore changing as well, because it also could give origins to William Afton as well. So maybe this game will change the lore. I think there'll be little things like I just mentioned, but I don't think they're going to be crazy. I don't know. In my opinion, I think Steelwall are going to probably make a game about Fredbear's origins, to be honest, in the future, in my opinion. Another thing I've seen people talk about is Dawko. Hello? There's this massive factory that's been there, 1979, the origins. Why have we never seen or heard about Edwin Murray? Why have we never heard about the Mimic? Why have we not heard about this factory that Fazbear Entertainment did a contract with? And I'll just say it, Fazbear Entertainment shoved it all under a rug because of the Mimic incident. You know, we don't know yet, but I do think that this factory is going to burn down to the ground at the end of the game. You know, that is an easy way for Steelwall to be like, yeah, that's why nobody's talked about it, and because it's gone. It burnt down to the ground. That's it. However, from looking at the trailer, we see a prototype music man. We see cardboard cutouts of an alligator and a hippo. We see Halpy the bear on the screen. Obviously, in the future, with Pizza Simulator, we see a music man. We see a Halpy. In Security Breach, we see Monty. You know, those are little subtle things to be like, look, actually, these animatronics, these designs came from Edwin's factory. These are Edwin's. But Fazbear Entertainment took those ideas, took those blueprints for their future use, which is smart. Because people can be like, what? How come we didn't know about any of this until now? Steelwall and Scott have played it very smart, where they've shown a prototype Music Man and stuff. And then, you know, in the future, after Secret of the Mimic, we can go, well, actually, look, prototype Music Man and stuff. So yeah, now we know that Edwin Murray's factory did exist, and Fazbear Entertainment have took the blueprints and endoskeletons or whatever and designs for their future gain, for their future use. I hope that makes sense what I'm trying to say. I'm basically saying that Edwin's factory and the lore, the prequel lore with all of this can fit in with the FNAF lore. It can fit in nicely. It doesn't affect the timeline. It doesn't affect anything. It fits snugly in the timeline. It doesn't affect... Guys, it doesn't affect anything. It doesn't. This doesn't change anything because this game is solely focused about the Mimic. And the Mimic is a very new character and it doesn't affect anything. And again, people are probably saying, well, how come we didn't know about the Mimic? Guys, the Mimic was sealed up. The Mimic's been sealed up for years and years and years until he's released in Ruin. You know? The Mimic's been stuck down there. With the mascots and stuff, below Fredbear's Family Diner and stuff for a very, very long time. So that's why we don't see him, because he's just been trapped in there forever. And again, I do think Secret of the Mimic is going to explain that. Me and John did a video about it the other week where we could be playing as Henry, and Henry goes to the factory, you know, saves the day, takes the Mimic, obviously with MXES, that computer design chip, thing, takes him back to Fredbear's Family Diner and seals him up. Remember as well, guys, in the book lore, the Mimic has an off switch, okay? So if you guys are wondering, well, how could Henry do this? I think in the game, we're going to trap the Mimic somehow, or the Mimic gets crushed by something, and we just turn off the switch, deactivate him, and then we take him to Fredbear's Family Diner, and we seal him up. The reason why I'm saying Fredbear's Family Diner, guys, is because back then it would have been Fredbear's Family Diner. Remember Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, the FNAF 6 location? It's very evident that that was originally Fredbear's Family Diner, and then obviously was abandoned and stuff, and then we turn it into a pizza... turns into Pizza Sim, that Henry traps everybody in there and kills everybody. And it's hilarious, because during that time, when all that was going on, the Mimic was still down there, just like chilling, while all that was happening, which is crazy when you think about it. But again, it doesn't affect the lore or anything. It's just the Mimic was there just chilling while that was happening underground, sealed up. And then years and years later, when they built the Pizzaplex, and then they you know, underneath Roxy's Raceway, they discover Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, Fredbear's, and then they discover the Mimic in there, right? So I do think it's either William or Henry, because or somebody employed by Henry to go and do it. But I feel like Henry would make the most sense. He'd get the job done, and it would make sense for him to take the Mimic back to Fredbear's Family Diner and seal him up, in my opinion, because it's his location. So, yeah, you know, and if we are playing as Henry, that would be really cool, because it gives more character development to Henry. It creates more friction between Henry and William as well, because he's had to do the work to sort this out. If it was William's fault in the first place, making Fazbear Entertainment and contracting Edwin to build and rush out the business for Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, you know, Henry would be annoyed with William. I did say this in a video with John as well. I do think we're going to see a mascot costume of Fredbear and Spring Bonnie at some point too. It would make sense, to be honest, and we'll probably see the Mimic wearing the glitch trap suit or something, I don't know, or a Fredbear mascot costume, something like that. Something subtle but really cool at the same time. Like, again, I don't think that is law changing, you know, it's just a mascot suit, but we will see. I want to know your thoughts, guys, in the comment section. Do you think Secret of the Mimic is going to change the lore in the FNAF franchise forever? In my opinion, No, I don't think it will, because like I said, the main focus of this game is the secret of the Mimic. It's all about Edwin and the Mimic and David and stuff like that. The origins of the Mimic. And like I said, I think this is a build-up. They're making an Origins game, and then they're going to be making a Security Breach sequel where Cassie is still alive, and Gregory and Vanessa, and I do think Edwin is going to be in there, in that game, and they're going to kill the Mimic, and then that's going to end it there, done. And that's why they're making a Secret of the Mimic Origins, right? They're making an origin story to develop the Mimic more into the games, to do the big finale after. It does look like Steel will have picked parts from the story from Tales of the Pizzaplex and obviously used it in the game. I don't think it's going to be fully accurate to the book lore with this game, but they've picked the main parts of that, you know. However, like I said, I do think we're going to get some prequel lore to do with Fazbear Entertainment and Fredbear's and William and Henry. I do think we're going to get like letters or documents or phone calls or tapes that we can play and collect or something like that. That's going to develop the relationship of William and Henry with Fazbear Entertainment and Fredbear's and what happened there, you know. Is this the reason why Henry and William started to clash and create friction between them? So yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys, please. I'd like to know your opinions. The more I talk about what I'm hoping for in this game, the more excited I am, actually. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm so excited. Do you think we're playing as Henry? I feel like it makes the most sense too. I feel like it makes the most sense, in my opinion. Do you think we're playing as Henry? Because it just gives the valid reason why it'd be sealed there, to be honest, at Fredbear's. I don't know, though. Now, a quick PSA before you say anything, where I've talked about Edwin coming back. Like I said, before I even say this, I do think Steelwool are going to pick parts of Tales of the Pizzaplex and make it into the game. Because I do think, in my opinion, this is just an opinion, I do think the book lore with Edwin and the storyteller, it might be a little bit too complicated for a game, in my opinion. But basically, you know, years and years later, Edwin's still alive. He does go back to the Pizzaplex and stuff, and he's employed by Fazbear Entertainment. He's like a director or something. And then he climbs this tree, animatronic tree thing with the storyteller because the Mimic program's involved in it. And he gets killed, basically. So I hope Steelwool don't pick that in the story. Sorry, don't kill me. I just feel like it would be better if they scrap that part and just make Edwin, you know, come back and work with Gregory and Cassie and Vanessa to kill the Mimic, in my opinion. I didn't really like the storyteller part and stuff, to be honest. So yeah, this was more of just like a talk video. We theorized a little bit, but I just wanted to talk with you guys. I'm just excited for it. If you guys have got any ideas on what you think's going to happen in Secret of the Mimic, let me know. I think I did a pretty good rundown, though, of what I'm hoping to expect. I do still feel like we're going to get some twists and turns, in my opinion, but yeah, I hope we're playing as Henry. I love that idea by John. Makes the most sense, in my opinion. I do think we'll get some sort of lore with Henry and William and Edwin, Fazbear Entertainment, Fredbear's. But I do think the main focus of lore, I mean, it's in the title. It's Secret of the Mimic. And a lot of people have asked me, like, Dawko, what is the secret of the Mimic? And I think the secret of the Mimic is the Mimic. I feel like it's supposed to be like, you know, it sounds like it's going to be a big secret, but I think the secret is just what happened there at the factory and the origins. The secret of the Mimic is the origins of the Mimic. In my opinion, it's supposed to be like a twist title. So like the Mimic doesn't have a secret. It's Fazbear Entertainment's secret. You know, it's Williams and Henry's secret of this incident that happened with Edwin and the Mimic. That's the secret. And they buried it under a rug. And, you know, if the factory burnt down, you know, it burnt down or they swept under the rug, they abandoned it, and they took the Mimic and they took all of Edwin's other ideas and blueprints as well, and they used it in the future, if that makes sense. Does that change the lore forever? I don't, like I said, I don't think it does. I don't think it's game changing that happened, you know. This game might have law-changing effects, they can do it. Steelwool can do it in this game, like I said. If we get some documents or clips and stuff of Henry and William interacting, you know, we might get some juicy lore as to what happened and why, you know, maybe why William went crazy and started killing people. We don't know. So there's a possibility, guys. There is a possibility. I'm not going to deny it, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll see what Steelwool and Scott want to do, because they have the opportunity to do it. But do they want to save that juicy lore for another game in the future after Security Breach 2? Steelwool could make a Fredbear's Origins game. You know, they can do that. And I'd love to see that, honestly. So maybe they might be saving the juicy lore for that. Could tease that in the game as well. You never know. They could be teasing it in the game. So much Fredbear stuff, posters everywhere. So I do think that's what's going to happen. So, like I said, Secret of the Mimic is an Origins on the Mimic. Of course it is. To build up the death of the Mimic after. Like I said, I feel like this is a build-up origin story. And then next year, we're going to get a Security Breach 2. I don't know if it's going to be called that. Where we kill the Mimic. And that will be the end of that timeline, I think. If I've missed anything, though, I apologise. Like I said, it's been a rambling video. I hope you liked Edwin's cameo for today's video, supporting me during this time. And yeah, let me know your theories and thoughts in the comment section, please. Take care, lots of love, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.